Hi everyone, my name is Ashley McGregor and today I'm going to discuss the effects of Hurricane Katrina with you. The three main points we're going to discuss is how technology aided during Hurricane Katrina, Katrina's effect on the supply chain, and its ethical impact on the environment. As many of you know, Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005. It hit southern Louisiana and parts of the Gulf Coast. It quickly became one of the most costly natural disasters. 90% of the coastal areas were flooded, 80% of New Orleans and surrounding cities became flooded, and the water lingered for weeks. Although the damage was significant, it was estimated that the cleanup and the revival of the areas would not take as long as before. The reason rebuilding would take much less time is because of the advances in technology. In 2005, computers that were monitored by the weather services were able to predict storms up to 5 days in advance. This allowed meteorologists to warn people of the storm so that way they could have time to evacuate the areas and take whatever belongings they needed. Hospitals began to take advantage of voice over broadband protocol technologies to coordinate airlifts once other communications has failed. This allowed them to get people who were stranded on their roofs or in other places out and get the medical attention they needed. Private drugstores such as Walmart had a database that they used for customers, and they were able to look up prescriptions and fill these prescriptions for the displaced customers all over the country. Although some companies were prepared for the storm, others were not. One company that was prepared was the McGlinchey Stanford Law. They had an emergency data backup system, and that stored critical data and kept it off-site. This allowed for them to relocate many of their workers and get them back to work as soon as possible, which was huge after the natural disaster. People had lost everything. They'd lost their jobs. They needed a source of income to start rebuilding. Another company that was able to rebuild pretty quickly was the Whitney National Bank. It also had an electronic database that stored information off-site. This allowed them to rebuild their accounts for people in remote locations and start getting customers back in, as well as getting employees back to work. As you can tell, it's pretty imperative to have a backup plan and system in place of an emergency. It definitely saved both of these companies time and money, and is probably one of the reasons why these companies survived and others didn't. The oil company took a huge hit after Katrina. It was damaged pretty badly from the storms. Prices began to skyrocket all over the U.S. The United States began, or not the United States, I'm sorry, oil companies began to use technology to forecast and use decision-making trees so that way they could predict prices and start rationing where they could and start recovering some of the product that they had lost. Although technology was able to help many companies, it did fail in other parts. FEMA did not do a very good job responding to people that were trapped on the roof. And just to wrap up this presentation, technology is still relatively new in the era of our time. It does allow us to do things more quickly and efficiently. However, we need to continue to work out the kinks and seamlessly weave it into our everyday lives and emergency situations for it to be used most effectively. Thanks.